so programmed to look for everything we need when we're making a decision. And if we haven't got it, we're going to wait until it happens. We're going to get in a better position. You'll never be in a better position than you are right now. You don't need anything. You just need the ability to make a decision. That's it. If you want it, ask and you'll receive. You see, well, that sounds like sort of a religious, mumble jumble stuff. We're dealing with an orderly universe. Everything in the universe happens by law. Nothing happens by accident. And you've got to muster up some courage. I remember when I phoned and she had that letter ready. And she had read me the letter a couple of times. Now keep in mind that she was Daddy's girl. She wanted to be a lawyer from the time she was 3 because Daddy was a lawyer. She wanted to be a banking lawyer. And she was a good banking lawyer. She graduated the #1 student in banking law in all the United States when she graduated. Smart as hell. But she was locked in, and she's got this letter. And when she sent that letter out, what she was doing was firing her clients. That's essentially what she was doing. She said, it's all over, guys. Don't phone me. That took enormous courage, or did it take understanding? I think it takes both. Mm-hmm. Let's find out who in the audience got a big one they want to work on. You can have to find some guy.
And when you think about what Bob was saying about the hit send, the making that decision, I remember being at a consultant training, and Bob called me up to the front of the room, and he started interviewing me, and he said, now, it took you 4.5 months from the time you were running the company until you finally left your law practice. And, it was your paradigm stopping you. And I fought him on that. I said, that was not my paradigm. I said, I just knew that was the right timing. And I was going into this elaborate story about how it was the right timing and you didn't want to do it too soon. And right in front of the whole room, he says, you're lying.
I didn't say that, did I?
Yes, you did. You did. And he said I was lying, and I was still fighting him because I didn't see it. Now I look back, it was like so obvious. But when you have to make that committed decision, and the paradigm is going to say, no way. You can't do it because you don't have all the how.
Okay, look here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, there's where most people are right there.
Yes.
They're extras in their own movie. They're looking at someone else doing something and thinking, if only I could do that. I remember one time, I think I heard Sandy mention this, Bill Gove was standing right about here. There was about 500 people here and about another 500 people here. And he had his hand up, and he was talking to the audience. I was standing back in the corner. I'd been studying this for a long time. I made up my mind I was going to find out why I changed. And when I figured out why I changed, all I wanted to do was teach it. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to do anything else. But I was shy, and I was very quiet, and I was very withdrawn. I was very introverted. Somebody say, well, I don't believe that. You don't have to. You have the ability to say I'm lying. But I was shy. I really was. And I'm standing down the back corner, and I'm watching Bill Gove. He had this audience right in the palm of his hand. And he's saying, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not to me I think you think I should be. Not to me I think my wife thinks I should be. Not to me I think my kids think I should be. If I want to be free, I got to be me. And he said, but I better know who me is. I'm standing at the back and I'm saying, oh my God, that guy's so good. If only I could do that. Because I had the strongest desire to teach this. But I was afraid if there was a group, I wouldn't even ask a question. I was that introverted. Now, there's a record that Earl Nightingale has called The Magic Word. It's unedited. I've listened to this record thousands of times. I just listened to it the other day. I've got a record player in the studio, and I play the record frequently. He said, now right here we come to a rather strange fact. We tend to minimize the things we can do, the goals we can accomplish, and for some equally strange reason, we think other people can do things we cannot. He said, I want you to understand that's not true. That you've got deep reservoirs of talent and ability within you. Well, if you had asked me, do you understand that? I'd say, of course I understand it. I've been listening to the damn thing for years. Truth is, I didn't understand it at all. See, I'm standing back there studied this for a few years. I'm looking at Bill Grove and I'm thinking he can, but I can't. And while I'm thinking that, all of a sudden that record started to play in my head. Now, right here we come to a rather strange fact. We tend to minimize the things we can do, the goals we can accomplish. I thought, damn, that's what he's talking about. I not only made up my mind I was going to do it, I was going to get Bill Grove to teach me, and I didn't even know him. He was the top speaker in America in those days. Bill and I became very good friends. I paid him thousands of dollars to sit down and talk to him for maybe 15 minutes. I'd fly to Florida and sit down with him, give him thousands of dollars, 30 minutes, 15, 30 minutes. I would have given him anything he wanted because I wanted to learn what he was doing. Now, I don't speak anything like Bill Grove. His style and mine, totally different. You know what he taught me? He taught me how to be relaxed in front of an audience. And that's all you have to do. Just be relaxed. I'm as relaxed now as if I was at home petting the dog. See, our problem is we keep wondering, what do people think of me? You know something? I don't care what you think of me. Now, I hope you like me, and you should. I'm a nice guy. But if you don't, it's not going to bother me. You know, for years it bothered me what you thought of me. I was always, well, I was with you, I'd agree with what you're saying. I would agree with whoever I was talking to. Because it was very important what you think of me. But you've got to get to a point you don't give a damn what anybody thinks of you. You know what's important? It's what you think of you. When you've got that down pat, you're away to the races. So, Sandy, let's come down and find out what people really like to do. What do you really want?
Who am I going to call on?
If you've got something you really
How are
want,
you?
let's talk about it.
What's your name?
Juliana.
Juliana? Hi. How are you?
Wonderful.
Good.
Thank you.
So what do you really want?
Don't give them the mic. Don't give anybody the mic.
I really want to serve a minimum of 10 people in TIR a month.
You're a consultant?
Yes.
Wonderful. 10 a month?
Yes, a minimum.
A minimum. Good. How long have you been a consultant?
Oh, 2 years.
2 years? Okay. So have you made a decision?
Yes, a committed decision.
Committed decision? Okay.
Yeah, I started full time.
Did you make it here or you made it before?
Before.
Before? So
Yeah.
I think maybe we have to up the ante here.
Yes.
If you came into the room wanting 10, maybe you should go a little bit bigger.
20.
Don't ask me. Don't ask me. Keep stretching on that.
Yes.
Okay? That's a good goal. Okay, how about over here? How about you? Hi. What's your name?
Jeff.
Jeff.
I guess I should stand up.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to hand the mic over. Jeff, so what do you want?
To be an entrepreneur.
Okay. What kind of entrepreneur?
Well, right now I have a product line and a couple things started with a few people in this room.
I know you, Jeff.
Yeah, you do. I work with Phil Goldfine.
Yeah, I know. No, yeah.
And now with Dan
And Mick.
and Nick.
So tell me more.
Well,
What's your name?
Hashim.
Hi. So what do you want?
I want to drop out of school, have money come in while sitting in bed, and
Wait a minute, Sandy, share that with me. Did I hear he wants money coming in
He
while he's
wants
laying in
to
bed?
drop out of school and lay in bed and have money come to him.
This night you did all last night.
to have time to pursue my passion, which is parkour, and become a
Which
world.
is what?
Parkour is kind of like gymnastics, but so you sometimes see people jumping from buildings, doing flips and stuff. That's
Like a
parkour.
horse, like the gymnastic horse? Is that what you're talking about?
Street gymnastics, basically.
Street gymnastics. He wants to do street gymnastics, which is his passion. While the money's pouring in.
While the money's pouring in, that's
Do you
all
know
I want to
something?
do.
If you've got a clear picture of that, you can do that. And you probably don't know how, but you can do it. See, the trick is you got to have a clear picture of what you want. Now, I just picked up the feeling from you. You are passionate about that.
Ever since I was a kid, that was the one thing in my whole life that everyone has told me, my parents, my family, my friends, everyone in my life has said, don't do that. I've had major
Well, geez, that's probably
injuries,
what you want to
but
do.
that's the one thing in my life that I've stuck to with my heart. And until this day, I will never let it go. I know.
When everybody's telling you it's crazy and not to do it, you know you're going in the right direction.
I know that, exactly.
Okay. All right, Sandy. I'm going to continue here for a moment. We say that most people are extras in their own movie. Now, what do we mean by that? They're looking at someone else doing something they really admire, but they honestly believe that person can do something they can't do. If you see somebody else doing something, that's positive proof it can be done. Now, what you have to do is ask yourself, what do I really want? You are the director of your own life. Don't look at anybody else. You may look at other people for help, but you are in charge. If you're waiting for something or someone else to make decisions for you, it ain't going to happen. It just is not going to happen. Now look, you got to decide what your goal is. Nobody can decide it for you. I have found, as I look back in my life, every time I set a target, I have been told I was crazy. I really have. Anything that was of any consequence, they began to tell me why I couldn't do it. And you know something? What they were doing was telling me the truth about certain things. You don't even know where the money's going to come from. And I said, I know. Well, how are you going to do that? I don't know. And so they start to point out things, and you see they're right. You have to get to the point where you ignore all the reasons of why you can't. Don't spend 5 seconds of thinking why you can't, because you're giving energy against yourself. And you only think of how you can. That's all. Now, there's an article in the back of the workbook. It starts on page 116. Now, what we'd like you to do, go to page 116, and then I'm going to ask you to read this article. But you're not going to read it by yourself. Somebody start. Anybody. You could start. And you'll read maybe, 5 lines, 10 lines, and then just say pass. And then you go clockwise. Now, if you don't want to read, you just say pass, and it goes to the next person. You don't have to make excuses. You don't have to say why you don't want. If you don't feel like reading, just say pass and let it go. But read out loud, read to the table, and read to each other. Take your time. This is a phenomenal piece of literature. Now, while somebody's reading, listen. You don't listen to hear. You listen to understand. We put out a quote on Insights the other day. It was by Stephen Covey. And that was the quote. Don't listen to hear, listen to understand. That's a phenomenal statement. If you listen to understand, You'll start to understand. You really want to listen to this to understand. Sandy, how long did we read this?
We read it for a whole year, every day.
Every day, back and forth. We'd be on the phone. I'd start reading, I'd say pass. She'd start reading, I'd say pass. So you see, while she's reading, I got to go along. When I'm reading, she's got to go along. We read this every day for a year. It's the repetition that makes a difference. Okay, somebody choose to start. I want everybody to read loud enough so the people at the table can hear. Okay, go ahead. See?
Bob is having them read this section in the workbook called Yourself from the Hidden Power by Thomas Trowell.
we all ready? All right, now go back onto page 18. Page 18. Now, when we start to talk about ourselves, we're talking about something that's pretty big and pretty powerful. And what we're really getting into is the mind. It's all about the mind. Your marvelous mind. Now, if you'll mark beside the slide at the top of page 19, mark page 124 beside that slide. Your spiritual DNA is perfect. Okay? We have printed material on it in the back of the book. Now think of this. Your spiritual DNA is perfect. Get this. It requires no modification. It requires no improvement. There is absolute perfection within every one of us. The trick of life is to bring that perfection to the surface. And it's the desire of this perfection within us to seek expression within through us that causes us to want. If you run, you're going to want to run faster. If you jump, you want to jump higher. If you're selling, you want to sell more. It doesn't matter what you're doing, the essence of you wants to express itself in a greater way. I got a call from a guy one time, Ed Morrissey. And Ed said, Bob, there's a guy here who wants to talk to you. He's reading your book. And I told him I knew you. And he said, you don't know him. He said, I know him. He said, well, phone him. So he phoned me. And he said, there's a guy here. So he got on the phone. This guy said, where are you? Is your Bob Proctor? I said, yeah. I said, I'm in Vegas. He said, could I come and see you? I said, yeah, if you want. He said, I'm in LA, so it's not going to take me long to get there. So he came. This would be 16 years ago. So I got talking to him. I said, what do you want? He was wanting more money. I said, what are you earning now? He's earning about $250,000 a year. He lied to me. He was earning $2. He later told me he lied. That's pretty common. Everybody tells you they're earning a little more than they actually are. I don't know why they do that, but they do it. Anyway. And I said, well, what do you want to earn now? He said, I want to earn millions. I said, I can show you how to earn millions of dollars. Did you show me how to do that? And he said, yeah. Is that all you want? No. He said, I want to win an Oscar. I said, I can show you how to do that. You know, it's like I had the magic wand or something. Well, the truth is I do. But so do you. See, the way you're going to earn the millions, the way you're going to win the Oscars, the same way you do anything. Everything is done the same way. Yet it doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. It doesn't matter where you've come from. Everything happens by law. Everything. That's why von Braun said it would take the will to do it. See, he knew everything operated by law, and if they stay focused, they would figure it out, and they'd put the man on the moon, bring him back safely to Earth, which they did. When the tide goes out, you don't wonder whether it's coming in. You know damn well it's coming in. You know winter never follows winter. Now, in Toronto, it looks like it does sometimes, but it doesn't. Okay? It doesn't. Phil, bring that dog. Come on up here for a minute. Okay? I want you to give a big hand to Phil Goldfein. Come on up here. Okay. Now, Phil Goldfein is one of the busiest producers here in Los Angeles. Do you agree?
Yeah.
And you've earned millions of dollars.
Yes. But will you walk me to my car after this?
Yeah. And you've got an Oscar. Hold it up. Where's Sandy? Sandy, do you have a mic? Or does somebody have a mic? Who's got a microphone? He's also won an Emmy. He's won a Golden Panda. Now, this guy is in better shape now in his 40s than he was when he was in his 20s. He took his son, where did he go to, Santa Monica? To a school for a swimming lesson. And the little kid's swimming, and Phil's sitting 50 pounds overweight, draped on a chair somewhere. And the guy said, do you ever swim? He said, I used to swim in school. Well, he said, why don't you start? That was, what, 3.5 years ago?
No, it's 5 years ago now.
5 years.
5 years, July 1st.
He swims now with Olympic gold medalists. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I was really overweight, like Bob said, and then I just was so tired of it and so sick of it. I started swimming, and I just never quit. I mean, I kept going, and I started saying to Bob, you know, I want to win a world record. And, you know, Bob, I mean, he just says you do whatever you want to do. And so I just started swimming with people, and then I started just reaching out to Olympians, and they were just so accessible. And so I looked them up. I figured out where they were, and I would just call, and everybody would take my call, and we just started swimming together. And so I've realized that, and I'm getting a lot more right now this morning. Even though I've been doing this for 20 years, I just picked up some stuff. One thing that Bob said that he went through, and again, I'm digressing a little bit, but he said, only think about what you want. Don't give any energy into what you don't want or why you can't do it. And it's so key to everything. And so I don't listen to anybody, and I'm trying to break a world record that I've been trying to do now for 2 years, and I will get it because I'm just never going to give up until I win that world record.
Yeah.
But it's really, it's like Bob always said to me at the beginning, it's really simple, it's just not easy, and it's true. I mean, you got to just keep working at it and just keep doing it. But I do love everything I'm doing. I do realize that. You said, what do you want? It's not what he wants or what you want, it's what you, the person wants. And I just really want this stuff.
Well, you know, when I started, the man that gave me, my brother gave me this book in 1963. I had one for a couple of years before that. And the guy that gave it to me, he said, if you do exactly what I tell you, you can have anything you want. Now, I didn't believe that. I was earning $4,000 a year. I owed $6,000. My life was a mess. But you know something? I believed he believed it. And so, for the first time in my life, when I was 26, I had never done what I was told up to that point, ever. I mean, I would go in the opposite direction if somebody told me to do something. But I decided I was going to do it. I did exactly what he told me. And it wasn't always easy, but I did it. I did it when I didn't even believe it was going to work, but I did it. And you know, nothing flat. My income went from $4,000 a year to $15,000 a month, and that was all within a year. And then I went to another mentor and another. I've had a half a dozen. They've all known more than I knew in the area I wanted help. And I've always done exactly what they told me. Now, I have people that pay me a lot of money for personal coaching. I'll have people pay me $150,000 for 6 months. I talk to them maybe a half hour every 2 weeks for $150,000. And if they don't do exactly what I tell them, I fire them and they don't give them a refund. And that's all understood before they started. I told Phil, I said, you're going to do exactly what I tell you. This guy does exactly what I tell him, even when it's totally illogical and it doesn't make any damn sense at all. Phil phoned one day, well, this is 2 or 3 years ago, I guess. He phoned Gina.
Which one?
Well, and you come over to Vegas for dinner.
Oh, yeah.
And he come over to Vegas, and he had a stack of gold cards, and he sat at dinner with Gina and I, and he's going through the gold cards, all these goals that he had reached. He's got a track record that's so impressive. You know that, how many get one of those in a year?
24 years.
24 a year, and how many people are going for one? Millions. Millions. There's only 24 get one. He got it. He got the Emmy. He got the Golden Panda. He has won medals for swimming. And he is, without question, the busiest producer in Los Angeles. He'll have 25 movies a year going, something like that.
I mean, I've sold 20 movies so far this year, and I'm trying to do more, maybe another 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Now, Phil tells people, when they ask you what to do, what do you tell them?
Listen to you.
No, he does. He said, do exactly what Bob tells you. And I'm not going to tell you what to eat, what time to go to bed, but I tell you what to do if you want to reach a goal. And your paradigm is fighting you. His paradigm was fighting him. Phil would phone me and there would be some ridiculous thing that he had coming against him. And I said, no, it won't happen. It won't happen. And some of those was pretty big stuff.
Really big.
Yeah. And I said, it won't happen, Phil. This is the way it's going to happen. And that's the way it would happen. He just trusts. Like, I am very intuitive. I believe God talks to us. And he talks to you through your intuitive factor. You gotta buy into it. You gotta make sure it's not your own static that's going on. When you ask a question, the answer's there. The answer is the opposite side of the question. You couldn't have a question without an answer. You hear about a rhetorical question, that's a statement. That's Webster was mixed up there. You don't have a question without an answer. And Phil and I would rap on different things and do this the way you go. Now he went from struggling to just super success in what you're doing. And it's still going up, still getting better.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better every day. I mean, that's why I'm here as well.
Yeah. Now, he'd been in every seminar. He comes out to every seminar, and he's sitting there taking notes and wrapping it up. You see, it took me 9 years to figure out why I changed. It was the repetition of the information. But it took me 9 years to figure that out. I'd listened to the same recordings over and over and over and over and over. And if you were working for me, you had to listen to them. And if you didn't listen to them, I'd fire you. Now, I don't think that's the best way to approach it, but I didn't know any better, so what the hell? And it worked, and we saw things grow, things get better. This guy is an excellent example. On the break, talk to him, ask him some questions. You really do a number, okay? Give Phil a big hand. Thank you. Now, I want you to think of this for a moment. Your spiritual DNA, that's the essence of who you are. Where did you come from? How did you get here? Well, little particle of energy from mom and a little particle of energy from dad came and they resonated. And that was the start of you. 280 days later, you made your debut on the planet. But where did those little particles of energy from mom and dad come from? Where did mom and dad come from? Well, they come from their mom and dad, and they came from their mother and dad. And there's a genetic pool that's the confluence of a genetic pool that goes back for generations. Now, some of these people who make decisions and based on beliefs that are so absolutely absurd that you couldn't possibly believe them if you thought about them. Most people don't think about their beliefs. They just accept it. We're different. Well, you are different. You're perfect. There's perfection within us. And that perfection is seeking expression through us. So when you get these wild ideas of wants, don't disregard them. Don't quickly reject them just because you haven't got the money. Don't reject them just because you don't know how. If you knew how, you would have already done it. But if you want to, you lock in on it. Now think of this. All the power there ever was or ever will be, or all the knowledge there ever was or ever will be, is 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. All the knowledge there ever was, or ever will be, is 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. The way to do whatever you want is already here. All the power. You wonder whether you're going to get the juice to do it? You'll hear people say, where does she get all the energy? Where does he get all? Nobody gets energy. Everybody releases energy. Desire is a triggering mechanism that pulls the trigger to release the energy. When your desire is strong, you got a ton of energy. All the energy, all the power there ever was or ever will be is 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. It's ever present. You cannot go anywhere and get away from it. If you're underwater, it's there. If you're above the water, it's there. If you're in a plane, doesn't matter where you are, it's there. That's the real you. Are you truly who you pretend to be? Now think about that for a few minutes. That's some pretty bold material there. You either believe that or you don't. Now, there's only two sources of reference to go to. One's science and the other's theology. There is nowhere else to go. I don't care what religion you study. They're going to tell you the same thing. Oh, they come at it from a different perspective, but the essence is one power, one unfoldment, one plan, all by law. Nothing happens by accident. Now, as we start to understand the law, start to understand our relationship with the law, then we can get in harmony and you can really make magic happen. And you can do a ton of good. And that's all you're here for anyway, to extend the good you can do far beyond your own presence. That's what money does for you. Money enables you to extend the good you do far beyond your own presence. You know, some people think that the objective is to see how much you can get, how much you can save. That's not, once you know where it is, you circulate it. Circulation is the first law of the universe. If there's no circulation, death sets in. The blood stops circulation, you're toast. Circulation, so you should keep things circulating. And if you get in harmony with that law, you'll never have to wonder what's coming your way. You can't get rid of it fast enough as you put it what's coming in. The Mellon family can't give their money away. They can't give it away fast enough. The more they put it, the more it comes back. We're dealing with laws. Now, if this may sound a little foreign to you, and if you're sitting over in Singapore like Annie is, or someone else maybe down in, I don't know, Kosovo or wherever, yeah, you may be hearing this for the first time. Don't reject it just because you don't understand it. See, anything we don't understand, we have a tendency to criticize or ridicule. What we want to do is think. Let's think. Everybody here has done something at some time in your life. Maybe a little kid, I don't know. You wanted it so bad, you figured it out. But when you started, everybody said, you can't do that. But you figured it out. Why? Because you wanted it. See, when you really want it, you decide you're going to do it, you flip your brain onto the higher frequency. We're dealing with frequencies. We're dealing with knowledge. We're dealing with energy. We're dealing with stuff that's here all the time. You got to get in harmony with it. I remember in a cleaning company, one day we decided we were going to put a supervisor on the road. And so we're going to get him a car radio, a car phone. We had to put ski racks on the top of the car to mount the aerial so that the phone would work. There was only a half a dozen channels in the entire city, so if you did get a channel, there was so much traffic and so many people coming in on it, you would hardly hear anything. But that's the only kind of a phone you could have in a car in those days. Now, I'm going way back to the early 60s. Today, we've all got one in our pocket or our purse. Yet you can phone anywhere in the world and you hit send simultaneous with you hitting it, they've got it. How does that happen? It's on frequencies. There's no time or space. That's an illusion. You're as close to a phone in Singapore as you are to one in this room. Hit send, they're going to have it just as fast. It's not space, distance, it's frequencies. So everything we want is already here. We've got to get in harmony with it. Now, when you start to think of that, this starts to make more sense. See, when I explain these things, I go back to when I first started. When I understood this, well, probably not. But we keep trying to improve it. You are a spiritual being. You live in a physical body. Most think they're physical beings, and every now and then they have a spiritual experience. That's not what it is. You're a spiritual being. You're having a physical experience. You're only here temporarily. You moved into the body. You're going to move out of it. But if nothing's created or destroyed, that just postulates the theory of life. You're not going to die. You're just going to make a transition. We get things so screwed up. When a baby's born, everybody's happy. When they die, everybody's sad. It's the same as birth and death are exactly the same. They're parts of the same great adventure. So we're spiritual beings. We're living in a physical body. Now, would that mean that my dog is... Most think they're physical beings, and every now and then they have a spiritual experience. That's not what it is. You're a spiritual being. You're having a physical experience. You're only here temporarily. You moved into the body. You're going to move out of it. But if nothing's created or destroyed, that just postulates the theory of life. You're not going to die. You're just going to make a transition. We get things so screwed up. When a baby's born, everybody's happy. When they die, everybody's sad. It's the same as birth and death are exactly the same. They're parts of the same greater nature. So we're spiritual beings. We're living in a physical body. Now, would that mean that my dog is spiritual, living in a physical body? Well, spirit's 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. It would have to be within the dog. I never read anywhere where it's everywhere except in Bob's dog. It's 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. Now, what makes us different is the intellect. We have been blessed with higher faculties. And what we want to do is learn how to utilize these faculties. We'll go through them a little later on. You've got perception, the will, reason, imagination, memory, and intuition. And it's how you use your intellect that's going to dictate your emotional state. Your emotional state is going to dictate how you behave. If you're in control of your emotions, you're in control of your life. I have a gold card here where Andrew Carnegie said, the person who acquires the ability to take full possession of his own mind may take possession of anything else to which he is justly entitled. I got that in the back of my gold card. Now look at it. You utilize your intellect and you impress ideas, you create them in your intellect, you impress them upon your emotional mind. And when you do that, you change the vibration this physical instrument's in. And when you do that, you change the way you behave. Now there's spirit, and we'll say these lines represent the law of vibration. The highest vibration, of course, is the spiritual side. What we want to understand is that spirit is 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. The highest frequency is the spiritual frequency. Okay? The lowest, of course, the grossest, is the physical. Now, sitting right in the center with us is our intellect. And it's through the intellect that we're able to tap in on a higher level to improve things on a lower level. You're able to tap in on a higher level to improve things on a lower level. Now, here's something we really want to try and grasp. Each frequency is hooked up to the one above and the one below. There's no line of demarcation where one stops and the other starts. Everything is connected. There is an expression of the same power. So, let's think of it this way. There is a glass, we'll say it's a glass of water. There's a plastic bottle of water. There's the water. Now, if we add heat to the energy that we call water, we will stop calling it water. Water is a name we've given to that liquid when it's in a liquid state. Now, if we add heat to it, we're going to cause it to boil, and pretty soon it'll turn into something we call steam. We don't call it water anymore. It's the same energy, but now it's steam. We continue to add heat to the steam, and pretty soon we'll call it air, ether, or gas. It's the same energy. But we don't call it water or steam anymore. Now it's air, ether, or gas. It's just here. Now let's understand this. We're dealing on frequencies. The water, the steam, and the ether is all connected. There is no line of demarcation where it stops becoming water and starts becoming steam. It's all hooked together like the colors of a rainbow. So we're dealing the thoughts to the thing. Now let's think of this. There you are, a spiritual being. There's your intellect. And there's the physical. Now with the intellect, you activate intellectual factors and you tap into the higher side of your own being. Thought's omnipresent, spirit's omnipresent, so our thoughts must be of a spiritual nature. And we pull the thoughts together and we build something called an idea. When we get that idea and we get it properly planted in our heart, not just in our intellect, but in the heart. That's what Solomon said, you got to place it in your heart. We're not talking about the physical pump in our chest. We're talking about the universal side of our own mind. Carnegie said, any idea, now really listen carefully, any idea that's held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered. So it works for good and bad. will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. You're worried about something, you're going to get it. Like the old sufferer in the Bible, Job, he says, "Lo, the thing I fear has come to visit upon me." I guess it is. That's what you asked for, that's what you got. You just get what you asked for. So keep thinking. You hold the idea, that idea must move into physical form. That is an absolute law. That's called the perpetual transmutation of energy. It's one of the first laws of the universe. Energy is forever moving into form, through form, and back into form. So you see, we're really creative beings. Now here's something. Do we have those at the back we could pass out? Hello? We do? I have a little coin here that I've had made. See this? How you doing, Peter? See that? Usually when we say everything's upside down, that means it's all chaotic, isn't it? Well, the truth is, when it's upside down, it's working right. You work from up, down, and from inside out. Does that make sense? From up, down, inside out. We just don't think of it this way, do we? That is what we call the universal wealth principle. You work from upside down and from the inside out. You go from the thought to the thing. And then you go from inside out. Now, most people have got that backwards. There's two sides to life. This side of the coin is rough, this side is smooth. So you put it in your pocket, you just rub it, you'll feel it. Now, this side here, should turn that, I think I can. I know I can. Where the hell did I put that? Oh, here it is. There. Now here's a case where a person's working, they let the present results control the thinking controls the emotion controls the behavior, and they create more of the same. That's where most people work. They let their present situation control their thinking. So they say, I'm going to do this as soon as I get the money. And they're looking at their bank account, there's no money there. But I'm working hard, I'm going to get the money. They're not going to get the money at all. You know why? They're focusing on lack. They're focusing on what they don't have. I like the way Nat King Cole does it in his song Pretend. He says, the little things you haven't got could be a lot if you just pretend. You know, you got to get the idea in your mind. Is that cool? Okay, put it in your pocket. Rough side. See, there's a good side to life and a rough side. Understand the rough side is when you're working against yourself. Are we passing those out? Hello? We are passing them out. Everybody's going to get... Jeez. Did I knock this off? No. When you get that coin, put it in your hand and rub it. You'll find one side smooth, the other side's rough. That's the way life is. One side's smooth, the other side's rough. Now, things are rough when you work against the law. Pardon me. When you're working in harmony with the law, everything works perfect. You got the coin? Take a look at it. Upside down, and then inside out. You've got to get the idea inside you. The finished result inside of you. You've got to see what you want. You've got to see it already manifest in your mind. That's what your imagination is for. Most people are using their imagination against themselves. They start worrying and they build the picture of what they don't want. You go to your infinite source of supply. Build the picture. Internalize the picture. And you'll find it'll begin to move into form. You work from upside down, inside out. You carry that with you long enough. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to be saying, I'm going to do that. And then as soon as you start looking at the bank account, you say, wait a minute. I can't let the bank account control me. Now the person will say, well, you need the money. You will get the money. But you've got to believe you'll get the money. Way back in 1900, William James from Harvard put it very well. He said, believe, and your belief will actually create the fact. Now we're going to show you this in different diagrams. It's absolutely incredible how this works. It all works perfect because it's working by law. Yet it's the same for every person. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. Now, I proved that to myself. I'm very effective at teaching this because I live it. I've experienced it. I don't wonder whether this worked. You can get some people say that isn't going to work. I know it. It's like the Wright brothers when they got the plane off the ground. They didn't care who said you can't fly. They said, no, I can. I just did. How did they do it? They did things that were totally illogical. Listen, right at the top is logic. And if you let logic stop you, you're finished. You've got to do things that are totally illogical. I had the good fortune of working with Sir Edmund Hillary on 3 different occasions. And he was the first guy to stand on top of the world. He was a beekeeper from Auckland, New Zealand. No, the only thing different about Hillary than anybody else I've ever met is his size. He was a very big guy. He'd shake hands with you. His hand would just wrap around your hand. I always felt like a midget beside him. He went over in 1951 to Nepal, and he failed. Now, do you know, there's all kinds of people on that mountain that are encased in ice. They're never coming down. They were trying to climb Mount Everest, and they died, and they're encased in ice. If you climb, you can even see their bodies in ice. Nobody's going to bring them down. Nobody has enough energy to dig them out and break them down. They're so thin up there. Well, he failed in 51. He went back in 52. Now, all his friends thought he was right out of his mind. You're going to kill yourself. You've got a responsibility to your family. See, they'll lay all kinds of guilt trips on you. You name it, and they'll give it to you. And if you let that stop you, then you don't deserve the reward. You got to pay the price. He went back in 1952. And you know something? He failed again. But in 1953, he and Tenzing Norgay stood right on the top of the world. Now, they're both gone now. You know, the thing I respect most about them, neither one of them said who got there first. They both went to their grave without saying who got there first. One of them had to get there first. They didn't say. Now, do you know there's been over 1,000 people climb that mountain since then? You don't even know the name of the last person. I talked to one guy, Jamie Clark, in Western Canada, that did it. Why had nobody ever done it? Because nobody had ever done it. Everybody believed it couldn't be done. Hillary didn't believe that. Hillary knew if he could see it in his mind, he could hold it in his hand. And he did it. And now all kinds of people are doing it. What made the Wright brothers think they could get the plane off the ground? The American government had spent millions trying to do that. Failed miserably. These are bicycle mechanics, for goodness sake. Do you know that Edison was told, they told his mother to take him out of school. He'd never learn in grade 3. He only went to grade 3. He illuminated the whole world. Where did he do that? He could see it in his mind. You gotta have a dream. You gotta have a picture. Whatever the picture is, you can do it. But if you're trying to figure out how before you make a decision it's going to happen, I tell a story in Born Rich about John and Pat. I sat down with them in the Prince Hotel. They were very unhappy. They worked for Sun Life, and they'd asked me if I would meet with them for an hour. So anyway, I did. And I could see they were not a happy pair. And I said, well, what do you want? They lived in a basement apartment in somebody's house. And they said, we'd like to buy our own house. And I said, well, why don't we buy one, for God's sake? They said, we can't buy a house. We haven't got any money. I said, you don't need any money. Well, they got a little disgusted. What do you mean we don't need any money? I said, you haven't made a decision to buy the house. What do you need the money for? Hey, listen, that's the way it is. They didn't need the money because they hadn't made a decision to buy the house. The second they made the decision to buy the house, the way it started to show itself. I said, go on back and ask her if I knew their manager. First of all, I called Natalie Cotman. She was a real estate agent. And I said, Natalie, I got a couple of live ones here at the hotel. Come on over. They want a house and they haven't got any money. Anyway, Natalie came over and I said, describe the house you want. Natalie went through the program. She understood. They described the house. She went and found it. I think they had to come up with $50,000. I told them to go back and see her as their manager. They started to sell like wildfire. They had nothing flat. They were in that house within a month. They lived in that house for a few years and sold it for a nice profit. In fact, my son Brian bought that house at one time. He sold it for a nice profit. Think of the number of people that stop themselves because they don't know how or they haven't got the resources. Never let that stop you. That shouldn't even slow you down. When you understand this, that's all you have to do. In all you're getting, get understanding. But you've got to be working from the upside down and the inside out. If you let your present results control your thinking, and your thinking controls your emotion, you're going to create more of the same, just as sure as you're sitting in that chair. You've got to go that way, not that way. Now, if you carry that with you long enough, you're going to burn this idea into your mind. See, that's the way it works. It goes from the thoughts to the thing. In fact, Doug Green, where are you? Where's Doug? Right there, stand up for a minute. He is shooting a movie, turning, is it thoughts to things? How thoughts become things. I was in part of his movie I was shooting yesterday morning. This is what we're talking about. How thoughts become things. Thoughts do become things. So you might want to watch for that movie. We will be doing a mailing, probably, I don't know, when, next spring or something. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Doug. Now think. What do you really want? Because it starts by you building the idea. Now, while you're at lunch, I want you to talk about this. I want you to think about it. And I want you to understand that there are no limits that we ourselves don't impose. Anderson wrote that in a book. He said, when we fully realize that thought causes all, we'll know there's never any limits that we ourselves don't impose. We're working against ourselves more often than not. Now, this idea of letting the results control you is very deeply embedded in your mind. We have been raised with that. As little kids, will you listen to what I'm telling you? Well, look at what I'm showing you. We were focused outside. We were taught nothing about our higher faculty. School didn't teach us. Our parents didn't teach us. The odds of us getting it were pretty slim. So as a result, you've got 90-some% of the population, and I'm not exaggerating, who are letting the results dictate what they can do. That small, select group of people that Hill talked about, they just had one prerequisite. Do you want it? If you want it, the decision is made, go. And when you do that, you flip onto a different frequency of thought. Things will come to you that would never come to you down there where you were. If you're trying to figure out on a lower frequency, it isn't going to come. You're not going to get it. You are never going to get it. Think. Really think. What do you want? Now, while you're at lunch, I want you to spend a long time thinking about that. Do we have Gina? Is Gina coming in? Where? She'll come in from, somebody's coming from behind. It's Mikey. This is Mikey Steller, our marketing manager. Give her a big hand.
There we go. All right, let's give Bob a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Bob. Did you guys enjoy this morning's session? Bob and Sandy were incredible. For our general admission people, the hotel has a buffet set up in the restaurant for you. The food is really yummy, so if you're interested in that, go over to the hotel restaurant. For our VIP people, your lunch is taking place right across the hall, so just head over there. Your food will be right out, and then Bob will be in for a Q&A. We will be back at 2 p.m., so it's about an 80-minute lunch. See you soon.
Hey live streamers, thanks for joining us for another amazing session. You know, I've got one of these up, down, inside out coins in front of me. They're really awesome. I remember when Bob first came up with this idea and concept. I just thought, that's so perfectly the exact way to describe it. When you've got these glaring paradigms, flip everything inside out and upside down. Do everything the opposite of what you were doing to get those negative results that you were getting before, and see how that works out for you. And this is such a great reminder of that, and not only to respond versus reacting. So our customer service team is standing by to drop a link in our chat to purchase these coins. So go ahead and pick up some. As Mikey said, we're going to be coming back at 2 p.m. Pacific. That's Los Angeles time. So it's about an 80-minute lunch. So be sure to grab a snack, grab some water, and come back here refreshed at 2 p.m. Pacific. And right now we're going to leave you with an amazing video from Sandy. She's going to be talking to you in this video about giving, and she's going to explain a little bit more about the great work that we do with the Unstoppable Foundation. So enjoy the video, and we'll see you after lunch.
The real joy we get in life is from giving.
Bob and I have been supporters of the Unstoppable Foundation for years now, and I went there to see the work that she's doing and the work that we're doing as a result of our donations to the Unstoppable Foundation. I looked down this road, and it was lined, completely lined, all across this huge field down this road with children, with teachers, with parents, with grandparents.
We have so much to do.
And they were all dancing
So much to do.
and clapping and singing. And we walked down the middle of them, and they'd come out and they'd grab us and start spinning us around and dancing with us. And there's just so much joy and gratitude.
I remember Bob teaching about the difference between what real giving is. And he said, most people that give something and they expect something in return, he said, that's not giving at all. That's trading. Giving is when you just willingly give and you don't even think about what you're going to get back.
Our goal at the Proctor Institute is to build a community every day. Now, right now, we are doing a new community about every week and a half with our donations and influence. And what I mean by that is Unstoppable Foundation goes in and they see that the children in the community get an education, but they also provide health care and clean water, and they educate the parents on how to earn money to be able to be self-sustaining.
Sandy's impacting more lives than she could have ever imagined by following her heart. And at the same time, she's giving an entire region of the world hope and a better future.
I feel so good about the contribution that I'm making to the world and about how much I can help people.